Well, we've all heard of the Carroll Shelbys and the Colin Chapmans, but up in Canada we have Bill Sadler. In 1953, Bill on his honeymoon went over to England. He promptly brought back an MG2, and like a good engineer racer, he took it straight to the racetrack. Well, like a good engineer, he realized that he was flogging a dead horse trying to race this thing, and he decided to design his own race car. And that's exactly what he did in his garage. He took a little four-cylinder motor, laid out a chassis in his garage, and created the Sadler Mk I. He took that Sadler to Watkins Glen, but had some electrical gremlins. Ends up being the toggle switch. He figured that out by turning the lights off, saw the toggle switch or the lights flickering. Well, he went back the following year with a little Triumph motor, and he still had some electrical gremlins, but he also realized he needed more power. Interesting concept, isn't it? Well, what he did then is took a small block Chevy and put it in that car. Well, the next year he made it to Watkins Glen, but he scared himself, realizing the frame he had built for the four-cylinder wasn't going to handle all that power. Then he created the Sadler Mk II. He built this frame around that small block Chevy motor. He went back there and actually did very, very well in that, winning the race in 1958 in the Sadler Mk II. Well, there was a young entrepreneur who also noticed Bill Sadler, and he hired him to build the Sadler Mk III, an 83-pound frame with a fuel-injected Corvette motor, and he hired a fella named Bob Said, Boris's dad, to drive that car. Bill also went on to continue to build race cars, Formula Libre, Formula Juniors, and ultimately the rear-engine Sadler Mk V. Bill built over 30 race cars, but finally gave up racing in 1961 to pursue a career as an electrical engineer. Gotta love a guy like Bill who puts a 500 horsepower Hill-born fuel injection motor into a 1,500-pound tube chassis. Now, Bill actually built this car with leftover parts from 1958, and what he had is a bunch of pieces and couldn't find the original Mk III, so he decided to build this car and go vintage racing. This car is exactly the way it raced at Goodwood last summer. He pulled it out of the trailer, said, hey, I'll check the tire pressures, I'm not going to dust it, I'm not going to clean it, but you can drive it and beat the tar out of it. What a nice guy Bill is. Now check out the workmanship on this thing, built exactly the way it was in the late 50s. All these welds here, they're actually gas welded and then annealed. Chassis strong enough to hit the wall a year before at Goodwood and to suffer absolutely no damage other than cosmetics. The restoration is exactly what a race car should be. It's functional. Doesn't have the shiniest paint job, doesn't have the straightest panels, but I'll tell you this car works. Well, what's a car like this worth? To the original designer, builder, and racer, to a guy that gets to take this car after he's restored it back to Goodwood and race it again, it's priceless.
You know, I've never seen you get out of a car with more joy in your face. And what do you mean by priceless in Canadian dollars?
Well, think about it. This guy here built this car. It's a genuine supercar. It's a really cool car to drive. The guy built it 40 years ago, 40 years plus, and to him, it's priceless. But besides, I asked him if he would sell it. He said no.
So that's what priceless means.